Okay, so we officially welcome all of you to our Fusion HCM technical training. This will be a long journey for all of you. It's going to be a 4-week long extensive training on the key technical areas in Fusion HCM Cloud. So we will start with a basic introduction about who we are and what we are going to cover as a part of this training. So a little bit about ERP Reputa. I'm not sure how many of you have seen our presence on the web or seen our videos, but we started in 2012 primarily as a video blogging site. And since then, we have created more than 400 hours of content. It's the self-paced recording, our blogging videos, the training sessions, all included. It takes a lot of effort to create that much content. And we have trained more than 6,000 students. So the students count grow every year. So we are happy to be able to help that many students coming from more than 130 countries. And this is where we are really proud that we have helped students change careers and succeed in Oracle ERP areas. It's not just people coming from PeopleSoft or coming from EBS, because those of you coming from those areas already have exposure to how an ERP system works. But we have also helped people coming from hardware background. So they were completely working with hardware technologies. They learned EBS and now Fusion and have completely switched their careers. And so we feel proud to be able to help them in their journey. So all of this we have done in the last 5-6 years, and we will continue to innovate and motivate with one and only one objective. That is, we will never compromise on quality. So those of you who have seen our videos on YouTube must have seen the effort that goes into creating those content. You know, it's the preparation, it's the editing, it's a collective effort, and that's how we come up with those videos that we feel will actually benefit people. Now, a little bit about the Cloud HCM technical advantages, like why we think that this course is going to help you. The industry experience is not mandatory, though helpful. You don't have to be an HR representative, or you don't have to be an HR manager to get into HCM technical. You know, if you have it, then you will know the HR processes, then you're familiar with those, but it's not mandatory. So you can come from any background and still succeed. There is no major programming experience required. As you said, that one of you coming from a testing background, you probably don't have much technical experience. I mean, not expected. If you have, it's good. But for becoming an HCM technical resource, you don't need to be a technical geek. You don't need to have any coding experience. And wherever little bit of running basic SQL statements, Karthik and the team is going to prepare, and Vijay is there. He's going to help you along the way, and that way, you will be ready when you complete this training. You can switch from virtually any background. We have folks coming from PeopleSoft. We have folks coming from EBS. So all different backgrounds, you can get into this line. Okay, and it's a much higher pay compared to other technical roles. And this is just a snapshot of where you will see that the testing salary in the US, that is about $45,000, whereas if you see that the average salary for an Oracle Fusion HCM related jobs is almost double. Okay, so again, this is 2017 data, so there could be a little bit increase in the numbers. So you can see the difference. So what this can do if you're coming from a non-ERP or non-Oracle Fusion background. Okay. Now again, the cloud technical jobs are on the rise. A lot of HCM projects happening, and you can see that a simple search on one of the leading portals, this is from dice.com, you can see the number of jobs that are being posted. So a lot of opportunities. So finding a job after this training, and once you have this skill set. I don't want to say after this training, but once you actually acquire this skill, and the training is basically to aid in that process. Okay, so finding a job will not be difficult. Okay. With that, we're going to start talking about the course overview. We're going to give a quick overview of Fusion HCM. This is a technical training, but we feel that you need to be familiar with the front end, so that the data that you're loading, you're familiar with the front end and how the application works. So if you run into any issues, then you know where to debug. You're not just looking at your HDL file or how to run the process, or in the BI area to run reports. You should be able to navigate easily into the application and see where these components are residing. So when you load a job, you need to know where to find a job, how the job setup looks like, okay, things like that. So we will do a quick overview of the functional setup manager, implementation project, workforce structures, and basic person management. Now, the workforce structures and the person management, these are the two areas where HDL is going to be significantly useful. We're going to load all this workforce structures data. We will see what it means, and we'll also load employee data, which we can see in the person management. Okay. And then we're going to go over to HDL. That is the primary focus of today's session, HDL concepts and practical examples. It's broken down into multiple sessions. So today we're going to start with the master data, which is your jobs, positions, and things like that. And that will be followed by the next session where we will talk about how to load employee data. Then we have PBL, which is payroll batch loader. That is used for loading payroll related objects like bank accounts for employees, their tax information, things like that, element entries that can be loaded using the payroll batch loader. Then we have HCM extracts. We're going to have concepts and worked examples. Again, Vijay is going to cover that. BI reports, how to build reports, OTBI reports. This is a very powerful tool that you will see. You'll also have some exposure on how to configure the workflows and approvals, how to do customizations and sandbox management. Once we get there, you will learn. So customizations in the cloud is very limited. So it's not like EBS where you could do custom PLL, or if you can do a custom ADF form. Those things are very limited. So we will show you what can be done, and then these topics will cover that. And then also, this is a very important topic. This is security. This is a huge topic, but at least we will give you an overview on how to create roles, because if you're coming from an EBS and other background, you're probably familiar with responsibilities. I'm not sure. I'm not from PeopleSoft, but this is basically giving you access to the areas for performing transactions. Okay? So we will cover that as well. So let's get started with the overview of Fusion HCM. Before we get started, I think somebody else joined. Okay. Shilpa, I think I see you have joined. Can you just introduce yourself to the team, please?
Hi, I'm Shilpa, and I'm in Bay Area, California. I've been working on Oracle eBusiness Suite R12 for almost 15 years, and now I want to make a switch in the career and see how Fusion is, because I see a lot of requirements in the job market on Fusion.
Excellent.
Yeah. And how many other people are on the call?
Yeah, so we have 4 more, and then 2 more. We are waiting for 2 more candidates to join. Plus we have Vijay, who's going to conduct the HDL session. So once we're done with the overview.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So this is the workforce structure. So if you haven't seen Fusion, this is how it looks. It has a navigator, and then it has all these beautiful tiles that you can easily navigate to different tasks. Okay. So workforce structure. So let's repeat this. So the workforce structures, this is the master data. This consists of jobs, grades, locations, departments, positions, the core data, right? And you can see that there are two ways to navigate in Fusion. And one is from the home page. You will see something called a My Workforce. This is, again, everything is role driven. So once we go into the application, we'll see that. And then you have something called workforce structures. Everything is organized within workforce structures. The other way is from the navigator. We will see it in the application that this is the My Workforce, and these are the different tasks, and workforce structures is the one where you can see all these configuration items. Okay. So that's about workforce structures. Then we have person management. This is how the person management screen looks like. And if you see here, the person management is right here under My Workforce. So that's what you click. Again, person management here as well. So basically under My Workforce, you'll find what you need, from a front end standpoint, if you want to verify the data. Okay. And once you find an employee, this is how the employee screen looks like. And you can see that on the right hand side, there's a taskbar. Okay. So just get yourself used to these acronyms. So this is the taskbar. And here you will see different tasks that you can perform. So what I was showing you is that here you can see that the tasks are grouped. So this is the absence related tasks, this is the payroll related tasks, compensation, and then the person management, overall person and employment management. Now some of these tasks, let's say the payroll tasks. So if you're not a payroll specialist, okay, then you probably won't see some of these tasks or all of these tasks. So what you see on the employee is controlled by what roles you have. Okay, it depends on what roles you have. Okay, so if you are not able to see as a technical specialist, reach out to your functional team or the IT security team. Is that I have loaded this, but I'm not able to view because I don't have it. Probably I don't have the appropriate roles. Okay, so this is what is important. So that's how the data is displayed and the tasks are grouped. Okay. Okay. Now the last thing that I want to cover is the reference data set. So before we start talking about that, let's just get to the application. Let's see how the screen looks like, especially since all of you are very new to Fusion. It's more fun to see the application. Okay, so this is the sign-on screen looks like. This is our application. You'll have access to this application. You'll be given the user accounts and you'll be able to perform all the necessary transactions. And anything that you're not able to perform, make sure that you reach out to us and then we will make sure that you have the roles. Now, Vijay is going to use the same user for the demonstration, so that way it's going to be tested that this particular user has all the necessary roles. So let me sign in. Oops. Yeah, give me 1 second. I think somebody has locked this account, so let me go ahead and unlock it first before I can show you. Okay. So yes, so I've logged in as test HCM user. You can see my screen, all of you. Okay. So this is how the screen looks like. It's the design and look of it can be modified to suit the client's needs. You can put any kind of background, you can put any kind of message. If that doesn't apply, you can remove it. You can build so that what tiles will be displayed can be controlled. And depending on who you are in the company, whether you are an HR specialist, whether you are just an employee or a line manager, you will see the appropriate tiles that applies. Okay. Now, My Workforce is something that is needed by the HR specialist of the company, right? So if you are just an ordinary employee, if you are just a line manager, then you are not responsible for maintaining employees, or you're not responsible for adding jobs in the organization. So you will not have access to My Workforce. All you'll have access is About Me, which deals with your personal information. If you are a manager, then you will see something called My Team. Okay, you will be given access to the different user accounts so that you can experience how the navigation is in Fusion. so that we will give you some employee access as well. Now this test HCM user is not an employee account. It is just an implementation user account, which means this is like your account when you go into a project. When you go into a client, you will not have an employee account. You'll only have a user account with appropriate roles so that you can perform your tasks. Okay. So this is what I was showing you. Under My Workforce, you will see the different tasks. And this is the navigator on the top left. You can see that the My Workforce is there too. So what it does, it's basically, it's a similar grouping in the navigator, but not everything on this navigator is probably displayed. And you can also control which ones you want to display. Okay. So there's something called this personalized springboard. They call it the springboard. And you can decide which ones you want to keep and which ones you don't want to keep. Let's say this partner management. I'm not interested in partner management because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing contract management using this account. I'm not doing supply chain planning. And I just uncheck this and say okay. And you can see that just with a few clicks, I have changed how the look and feel on my home pages. Every employee can do the same for themselves. Okay. If they want to see something that is more relevant for them, they can easily personalize how the screen looks like for them. Okay. And it stays for that employee. So this small things I think is a huge improvement. First of all, if you're coming from EBS, you don't have to deal with the Java, the JInitiator that used to be a pain. So all those are gone. It's going to open fine from a mobile device, from a tablet, from any browser, no issues. Okay. So let's go to My Workforce, Workforce Structures. And then feel free to navigate on this different areas to see how the screens look like. Manage positions, jobs, grades, departments, manage locations. These are the tabs, but you can also see additional actions from this little action bar. Okay, so anytime you see this little task bar, you know that there are additional tasks that are not displayed on the screen that you can access. Okay, you can see that manage job families, manage position trees, things like that. Okay. Searching is very easy. You have two search options. The basic mode, which is right now, is the basic mode. And you can search for a position. Let me search for, say, chief, %. I don't think even a % is required. And you can search. And then you can just click on this and go into the details of this particular position. You can create using this create button. You can edit. You have two date track option. These things will be discussed in details when we do the HTL. So there are update and correct options. We will talk about that. And then everything can be easily exported. So you want to get a dump of all these positions, you can simply export. It's going to export it into an Excel sheet. Also, this is the default. I don't know if this is default or if somebody has modified, but you can decide, you can rearrange these columns easily. You can just move things around, very easy. It's going to reorder and it's going to remain for your user account. Okay. Here you can also see additional columns. If all the columns are displayed, then probably there's no other columns to add. But if you are exporting the data into an Excel sheet, then you can select which columns, and that will give you a quick dump of the data that you're trying to find. So let's say I want all the positions. So I can simply get all the positions and then quickly export. So instead of writing a select statement, I can get it right from the application. I mean, think that how easy it makes for the end users. Okay. If you want to search all the positions, I normally go into advanced mode. Okay, so when you go into advanced mode, you can see that name starts with, ends with, equals, all those different options. Now what I normally do is that I say the name does not contain, and I put some junk. So it's going to give me everything that does not contain this. And assuming that there's no positions with this string, it's going to give me everything. So if I search now, I'm going to get all the positions that are defined in this application. Okay. So you feel free to create a position from the front end. You feel free to and compare that with your HDL load, all of that. So similarly, you can navigate to the jobs, grades, departments, and locations. I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but feel free to go into these areas, try to search for existing data, try to create one from the front end. It's always good to have that kind of functional knowledge, even though you're doing technical work of doing conversions. But if you know how the jobs are, how they work, what are the update options, what are the different fields that are available, you'll be much more comfortable. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. No questions? Okay. So the other thing that I mentioned is the person management. Okay. So navigator, my workforce, person management. Okay. That's it. No switching responsibilities. Shilpa, if you're coming from EBS background, no switching responsibilities for seeing different business groups or anything like that. If you have access to one country or two countries or all countries, depending on what role you perform in the organization, then you can search any employee in the organization. Okay. So same thing, basic search, advanced search, and if you are searching for ex-employees, then you always check this include terminated work relationship checkbox. Okay, otherwise the employee will not show up. If you're practicing how to terminate employees, then you're trying to find that employee, then just make sure that you check this checkbox. Okay, that's an important thing. So that's and I'll also quickly show you. You have already seen the screenshot of how the employee management looks like, but I'll show you some of the ease with which you can navigate in this application. So this one will be a hyperlink. When you click on it, it's going to take you to the employee's assignment screen, which stores the jobs, positions, and things like that. But so that's one way of navigating to the employee record, and then you can see all the tasks on the right hand side. But whatever you saw, the task on the right hand side is also accessible from this actions icon. Okay, you can see here absences. I want to go to this employee's absence records. I don't have to click on this employee and then go to the task. I can just quickly directly go to the absence records from here. Okay. So everything that you saw on those previous screenshot can also be accessed from these actions. So very easy, user-friendly navigation. Okay. And then the last thing that I just started and then I said it will come back is the reference data set. So very, very important concept. This is a new concept I think is coming from PeopleSoft. This facilitates the sharing of configuration data such as jobs, payment terms across organizational divisions or business units. So you define these to basically partition the data. Okay. Some of the set enabled objects, job, grade, department, locations, these are set enabled objects. They belong to a set. There are two data sets that are delivered. Okay. Common and enterprise. Now enterprise, not so used, you'll hardly use it. This, you will use it a lot. And also if needed, you will create your own set. Especially if it is a global implementation, then you will probably end up creating more sets. Okay. So you can have a set for the UK, you can have it set for the US. So you define your US and you define your UK, the two sets, and you define the jobs, let's say J1 and J2 under US, and then you define this J3 and J4 under UK. And you also have your common set that we're going to focus more on for this purpose of HDL. Okay. Now, common set, anything defined under common set is visible across the application. So if I have another job that is defined as J5 and I am in the UK, I'm an HR in the UK, can you tell me which jobs I can see? Which are the jobs that I can see as an HR specialist with this design in the UK? Anybody?
J3 and J4?
J3 and J4, that's what Shilpa says. Prashant, J3 and J4. Okay, Kiran says J3 and J4. Okay. Yes, J3 and J4, of course. But what about J5? J5 is defined under common set. Anything that is defined under common set is visible across the application. Hence, J5 is going to be visible both for the US and the UK. So US will see J1, J2, J5. UK will see J3, J4, J5. Clear? Okay, excellent. Again, not a lot of clients are going to use a lot of sets, but this is a very, very important concept. If you get into a global implementation, there will be a need for it. Again, these are designed by the functional team. All you will do is when you are creating a job, you need to get that details from the business or from the functional team. Hey, what is the set that this job belongs to? Is it a common set or is it a specific set? Okay. Now, keep in mind, positions are not set-enabled objects. One of the questions that you will come across when if you take the certification exam, there's a question around this, that which objects are set-enabled. Positions are not set-enabled objects. They are partitioned by business units. Okay. Okay. So let's move on. And then so Ashok, you have a question? Any example when they create common set? No, you don't create common set. Common set is delivered. You just use it. So when you define a job, you assign that to a set. It is a mandatory task. So when we create a job, then we have to assign the set. I can quickly show you. It's in the front end so that when Vijay discusses that, it'll be easier for him to explain that part. So if I go to workforce structures, I'm already eating up his time. So when I create a job, you can see that the first thing that I have to select is the job set. Okay. So by default, it's common set, but if I have to define a job that belongs to other sets, then I'll select that appropriate set. So that's where it is being used. And we do have a screenshot that shows where that is. Okay. So the manage reference data set is the task name. And navigating in Fusion is very, very easy. Okay, like I said, no need to switch responsibilities. All you need to do is, let me show you. So what we call it the functional setup manager. Okay, and you will see this icon, setup and maintenance. We will put some screenshots from release 13. This navigation is slightly different. When you click on setup and maintenance, there's an additional step that you will have to click in order to go to this search bar. Okay, so this search bar is basically where you find anything that you want to do. And even if I don't know the full navigation path or the full name of this, I'm trying to do reference data set, right? So if I do reference data, if that's all I remember, okay, I will be able to find all the tasks that contains reference data set, okay, and then you will see that manage reference data set is the task that I'm looking for. Okay, that's where the screenshot is referring to that. Okay. Okay. Does that answer your question? You don't create a common set. What you do is you create sets, and the sets are usually configured by the functional team. As a technical resource, you need to make sure that when you're loading jobs, the job file, every job belongs to a set. Every grade belongs to a set. That's all you need. And if that set is not there, then you tell the functional person that this set is missing. Okay, this is where you can define the set. Manage reference data set. Very, very easy to create. Just click on this plus and put a name, and that's it. And just use it in your files. Okay. The other thing is manage set assignments. Now what this does is this allows you to separate. So when we define the business unit, again the functional team does that, but when we define the business unit, we specify which set it's going to use, whether it's going to use common set or it's going to use a different set. But what we can do, this is what it says, that this task, manage set assignments, that you have to navigate from what we call the implementation project. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes on implementation project. Again, sorry Vijay, I'm just eating up your time, but I think these are important concepts for them. Okay, so you cannot access certain tasks from that setup and maintenance. Okay, most of the tasks can be accessed. Certain tasks will not be accessible because it has some dependencies. Okay, so let me show you this particular task, which is to override the set for specific object. An example would be that a company has the departments, they have very common name for departments. Let's say HR, finance. They want to define the departments under common set, okay, so that every department is visible across all the countries. But their jobs are specific to countries. So what will they do? They will create two data sets, the US and the UK, and they will say that even though everything else is common set, the jobs would be this particular set. Okay, so that can be controlled by business units. Okay, again, business units, that's the operating unit concept. Again, will be configured by the functional team. So I'm going to skip those discussions. Okay. So that can be overwritten as well. Basically, that's the concept. Okay, you have a common set, but you can also say that certain components belong to a more specific set. And I'll show you that how you can navigate. Okay. So basically the last slide shows you that where it appears. And one important thing is that once you assign a job to a set, you cannot edit that. Okay, you can see that this is a job that is on an edit mode, but you can see that everything else can be changed, even the name, code, everything else can be changed except the set. Once you define it, that's what it is. Okay. Okay. So now I'll just take 2 more minutes to show you the implementation project, and I'll show you how to navigate to this overriding sets, and then it'll be over to Vijay. Okay. Now, getting into implementation project is also from the setup and maintenance. So you click on setup and maintenance, and here you can create for technical activities. An implementation project is not required, but any project that you go into, you will see that the functional team has created an implementation project. Okay. Now this is a test environment. People create implementation projects at will. So don't. There will never be this many implementation project. Okay. Let me pick the ERP Reputa HCM implementation project. Now this helps you in grouping the tasks that you need to perform. And for that particular task that we were referring to, manage business unit set assignment. So here also you can find the tasks, manage business unit set, and you can search. So whatever tasks you saw under setup and maintenance can be accessed through the implementation project as well. Okay. Now basically the implementation project, the idea behind implementation project is to track how you are doing it. You know, what are the different objects that need to be configured for the client. It does not control anything. It gives you the right order in which things needs to be performed, but these are all done primarily by the functional team. You can even implement a project, a core HR project, not, there are payrolls require some tasks that you have to navigate from this implementation project. But if you're only implementing, let's say, core HR for a client, you can do the entire implementation without defining an implementation project. But this, you can see here that if you define, you can track that who is this assigned to, whether this task is complete, it does not stop anything. This is purely informational that will let you know that how we are doing, what are the key tasks that is completed. It's like a project management, but it's not tightly integrated. It just gives you an idea about where things are. So you can see here the manage business unit set assignment. If I try to click on go to task, the reason I'm not able to access this directly from the task is because I need to select a business unit. I need to see the business unit, and then I can see which data sets are tied for that particular business unit. So select and add. I'm not going to create a new business unit. I'm going to see what kind of set assignment is there on an existing business unit. That's why select and add and create new. Okay, create new is if you're trying to create a brand new business unit, which we are not. So we are just trying to see how we can use a different data set on a specific object. Once you do that, you will see all the business units that are defined in this application. Let's pick this ERP Reputa business unit, and please do not change any existing configuration. If you really want to try things, you're more than welcome to try, but create your own stuff. And when you create your own stuff, you'll see that you need to prefix it with your initials. Okay. So everything for this business unit, you can see that is using common set. So when the employee belongs to this business unit, the jobs that you can assign to this employee in this business unit are the jobs that are defined under common set. Is the concept clear? Let me open another browser so you can see what I'm talking about. So when I go into an employee, okay, this employee, please don't make any changes. Feel free to view data for this employee because this is the test employee account that you will get. So changing information for this employee is not a good idea. Okay. So here you can see that the business unit is selected for that employee. It is mandatory. You cannot create an employee without a business unit. Now, once the employee belongs to this business unit, this will control which jobs you can assign to this employee, which grades you can assign to this employee, which departments, which locations that you can assign to this employee. And I said that positions are not set enabled. They do not belong to a set, but they belong to a business unit. So the positions, when you define a position, it belongs to a business unit. So if the employee belongs to business unit this, you'll only be able to assign the positions that belong to that business unit. But jobs, grades, departments, and locations, you'll be able to assign that particular business unit, whatever reference data set this particular business unit has. So now if you see here, this is the business unit. Let's pick, so the grades. So this is set enabled object. You can see the job set enabled object. So I will be able to assign all the jobs that are defined under common set. Okay. So that is the concept. And I'm going to leave it at this point. If hopefully by the next session, you will get some practice. And if you have any further questions, once you practice, then we'll spend a few minutes explaining these. Okay. So that basically explains the concept of reference data set. So that's what we are saying, that You must navigate it from the implementation project. This is where it appears. On the job screen, on the department screen, you will see that, and this is where it appears. And it cannot be modified once saved. Okay, so with that, it's going to be HCM Data Loader. Vijay, over to you. I'm going to make you the presenter.